Hello, everybody. Can everybody hear me? Hopefully, you're not hearing the sound of feedback going crazy inside of this room right now. One sec. We're gonna have a fun time today. We are streaming this from inside of the Reframe conference. This is Hector's conference that he has every year now. So it's gonna be a really great time. And actually, can anybody type in chat to make sure that I do not have it disabled, or if you can put it in the Q&A? Oh, okay. Yep, it sounds like it is disabled. Let me see if I can figure out how to fix that. Uh, there we go. Everybody should be able to chat now, I think. There we go. Hello, everybody. Hopefully the sound check people or the sound check is not getting too much in the way of everybody being able to hear. We're gonna have fun one way or the other today. Let's just say that. Good morning. So yeah, as today is literally the first day of the Reframe conference for Hector, and this is like I would hate to say this is baby because it is one of his many babies because he thinks about so many things all the time. Uh, but he is going to be a little bit busy today, so I am going to try and take control of this meeting and get everybody through it. And it's so nice to see everybody from really all over the place. It's great to see everybody. It is very nice over here. It's the weather's great and we don't have to worry about a hurricane for at least a week, so that's good. You know, at least that's how it is in Florida this time of year. You have to worry about a hurricane every other week. Okay. Hi, Rich. And Jess seems to be feeling fine after the flu shot, so I don't think she's got any problems so far. I'm going to link the slides in the chat real quick and just have that inside of here. And I'll be putting that in the chat as we continue on through the presentation. We're having fun. You get to see a little bit of the behind the scenes. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with this because it seems like a good number of people are here. If there's ever a moment where you just like need me to mute because of sound checking purposes, let me know. So hello everybody. This is the RightTool version 26.12 webinar. Yes, it is already at 12. Don't sometimes we have to fix little minor things, especially since this update we did a lot of like back end stuff. So we had to put in quite a few updates. Oh me. We're we're there. Okay. And also, if you want the webinar recording for the last webinar, we have that on our YouTube channel, and we're going to have a recording for this webinar as well. So just be aware. If you have to skip or miss a little bit of this webinar, it'll probably be shorter than usual. But if you need to see it again, you can see it at YouTube. It'll be uploaded, maybe not as fast as usual this time because of the conference, but we will have it uploaded soon. Okay, with that, let's get started. Let's actually remove this little part right here. Control V and delete that. Okay, so first of all, for people who are new here, we're just going to go over a couple of quick troubleshooting things because that's something we want to make sure we get drilled into people because every once in a while, RightTool will be kind of weird. So let's go ahead and start with that. And also, here's some information on the last updates. So the first thing I want to go over real quick is just a reminder to people that if you are ever working with RightTool and things just seem to be completely broken, there's two things that would be great to start off with. First, if you reload the extension, a lot of times Chrome is just weird on a given day. And so if you reload extension, it should fix most problems. And you can do that, by the way, by coming over to the top to this little puzzle piece icon, and then you can pin RightTool for QuickBooks Online to make this really easy to access. And after you do that, you can have access to these. Another thing is if you ever get that little spinning circle of green where it just never stops spinning, then you can go to clear cache right here, and it will actually, what's cool about RightTool's version of clearing cache is the fact that it actually will only clear the cache for QuickBooks specific settings or cache, so you don't have to like log into every single website that you've ever logged into in your entire life whenever you clear cache through this. So just again, a really helpful thing to have available to you is clearing the cache. With that being said, let's also talk about the fact that, again, the best place to find pretty much any information on RightTool is going to be inside of our YouTube channel, where we have videos for everything, as well as we have some comprehensive videos about features, at least up to December 2023. We're actually working right now on making new videos, as well as having like a scribe how document for them as best as we can. So yeah. And then 1 second while I just make sure that nothing's going on here. Okay, got it. Oh, and somebody asked, if you reload the extension, will you lose all the settings and bookmarks and such that you have set up before? No, if you reload the extension, you will be fine. If you uninstall the extension, though, that is gonna be a thing that will reset your settings and your favorites. So if you ever have an issue, feel free to reach out to us on either mark@monkbee.com, and I'll add that to the chat. So here, mark@monkbee.com. If you prefer to be more anonymous with it, if you're fine with Facebook, the best place to probably go is to go to Facebook. We have a Facebook group. It's really great. We have a lot of people who have either suggestions or bug fixes all the time in there. So that's also a good place to go. So I'd recommend reaching out there before you uninstall or anything like that. But reloading the extension will always be fine. So yeah. Let's see here. So now we have those things out of the way. Let's go into the Facebook group, and this is all in the location of the Facebook group is in the slides, so I will just share that one more time. So if you ever need any of the links that we're talking about here today, they will be in those slides, and that'll also be in the description of the YouTube channel. Where can you find us at events? I kind of left this one in here as a joke slash as a bit of a fun thing here. We are going to be at Reframe from literally today till the 19th. So if you so if you're in Florida, in Fort Lauderdale, you can come by and swing by if you want, but it might be a little bit late to get tickets for that one. We're also going to be at Intuit Connect. We are actually going to be sponsoring this year. I don't know how that happened. I would swear that QuickBooks would not want us to be a vendor there, but I'm glad to hear that they accepted us. So we will be there. And then Hector, I won't be at this one, but at RightWorks Inspire at Sarasota, Florida, Hector will be at that one on December the 2nd through the 4th. So if you ever want a chance to meet Hector, then these are good places to go. It does seem, Caleb, like Intuit has warmed up to RightTool a little bit. We'll see how that continues. I hope it continues to be a good relationship, but you never really know what's going on in the minds of Intuit at any given time. Oh, right. One other thing is a quick review of the help features. I do like to go over this as well. So if you go into the RightTool settings, you'll notice at the bottom there is a section that says help. This is a place that you can go to submit forms for feedback and bug reports if you want to do that. It's like the official way of doing it. It's not necessarily my favorite way, but it's the official way, and I'm more than happy to get the bug reports from that. And then also we have inside of here, if you ever do like want to change computers, or you want to give one of your team members or even your clients a like specialized favorites and settings for RightTool, you can come here and you can export the settings just like this to copy them, and then all you have to do is just send that copy of the data over to whoever you want to go to, and then press paste into here, and they just paste it into here and click import. we have a whole set of videos on this. Like with everything else we have, there is an eye icon right above these export settings that goes through a whole video about how to do this in detail. So hopefully that is helpful to you if you end up needing to do that. Let me just check the Q&A real quick. And let's see here. Okay. And this is actually a great point. So Jacob, first of all, there's two questions. One, reloading the extension again, not super difficult to do. You just come over into the sidebar and you click on the little icon for RightTool up top and click reload extension. And then Jacob mentioned that he's having a problem with the paste and journal entry. If you're having a problem with the paste and journal entry right now, then it might mean that you are not on version 26.12. And so one thing that's really helpful for that is if you ever see that somebody's like, oh yeah, you need to be on a certain version, go to manage extensions. Over here at the top right, there is a thing that says developer mode. And then once you are inside of that, there will be a place to update your extensions and it'll update them all at once. That will fix the journal entry paste problem for you because there was a weird issue that got introduced in version 11 for some people. So hopefully that helps if you're having an issue with the journal entry paste. Let's see here. We got that. And now let's get to the part of the show that you guys are here for. And then, yes, having a problem with dictate. Yeah, let me actually look into that, Michael, if you're having a problem with the ability to voice to text. Because that one is a little bit weird sometimes, so it definitely will require me to look into it for sure. So, the first thing I want to demo for the new features for this month is going to be first, there's a new free feature. It's not really new. If you were here for the last month's webinar, then this was actually an experimental pro last webinar, but we have moved this to free and inside of tab management. So that's going to be auto opening the bank feed when you switch a file. So all that means is if I come into here and I go to tab management and I click on auto open bank feed when switching files, I'm going to just refresh all the QBO tabs really quick. And then what I will do is I'm going to go to my simple start sample file. And one thing you'll notice immediately after I go to the simple start file is, at least once RightTool loads in, it should take me straight to the banking page. So this is something that some people really prefer because they don't really want to go to the home screen. So hopefully that helps out for people. And again, I'm happy to make this a free version thing, so that even if you're, not a pro user, you can still have something fun like that for yourself. Yeah. The next thing I want to show, yeah, you can tell the difference between me and Hector when we're presenting, is going to be, and everything else after this is in batch or is in pro. It just kind of worked out that way, admittedly. But hopefully you guys will still find something valuable inside of that. So the next thing I want to talk about is one of my favorite features that we got in Batch Pro is batch changing product slash service accounts, like the income and expense accounts for product and services. So this is something I've been working on for a really long time and could never fully get quite right, but I have officially cracked the code on how to make this work and make it work efficiently. Go into the banking page, that's fair. So we're just gonna wait for the banking page. The only problem with going to the banking page first is if you have a file that's a sample file that has 50 different bank accounts, you might have to be a little bit slower when you go to the bank feed. So I'm gonna go to the item list. And once I'm inside of here, you will now notice, and this will be turned on by default, I believe. And I'm actually going to go to Batch Pro real quick. So you can see here, there is inside of Batch Pro, there's a new symbol that says batch change product slash service accounts. Once you go and turn that on, you'll notice the next time you go to the item list page, up where this little previous and next button is, there is now a thing for batch changing accounts. So what I'm going to do real quick is I'm going to change some of these, columns real quick, just so I can show basically just the income and expense account. And once I do that, I'm going to make them bigger because QuickBooks decides by default to make them small, and that is perfectly fine. And so now what you'll see is these are in channel shipping income, it got expense category and all that stuff. So let's say that I'm coming in here and I actually have a client who needs to update all of these. I'm going to just click on, a couple of these right here, and then I can click on batch change accounts. You'll notice it relatively quickly brings up this little modal for you. And inside of here, you can change either the sales account, the purchase account, and you don't have whatever you leave blank, it's going to skip over. You'll also notice up here that there is a checkbox for changing historical. So this is by default going to be checked on. So if you're somebody who's just trying to make it so that these accounts are a specific way going forward, you're going to want to uncheck these instead of leaving them checked. But yeah, so let's just go ahead and go with that. So when I come into here, I'm going to, for the sales account, let's just make it something really easy to see. Let's see. You know what? Let's just put income. And then for the purchases account, let's put some expense in here. And we're going to put amortization expense. Again, these are not necessarily ones you'd want to use in real life, but we're going to just click run a batch. It'll give a little confirmation. And you'll see it'll give you a little tab of how many it's working on. And it will take a little bit of time because of the fact that QuickBooks does have to do some actual work on the back end. So it's going to take a little bit of time to do. But you can see it's very quick. And now we have amortization for all these, except for whatever reason, this Love 5. We'll figure out what's going on with that. But it should work for almost everything that you're working on. And it might just be that the page needs to refresh or something like that. So let's actually refresh the page one time and see if that fixes it or not. Okay. Yeah, so there's something going on with Love 5. We'll figure that out. Oh, okay. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's because it's an inventory item. But hopefully that helps you out. I've been working on that, or I've been hoping to get something like that done for a long time. And I'm really glad I figured out the back end logic to make that work efficiently and effectively for most people. So hopefully that helps. The next thing I want to go over is going to be matching payments and deposits when you're inside of reconciliations. And I should have prepared a little bit better for this, but we're going to go ahead and go into it. Get started. I get it. Okay, so this is something that was requested to me by Sherry Lee. She had a great suggestion, which is that when she has a clearing account, sometimes she will have payments and she'll have to match payments and deposits that are just basically going in and out of the clearing account when she's reconciling, right? So what this is it's a very simple feature. By just going inside of the reconciliation page, and you can click on this new button that pops up called matching payments and deposits. And you're going to have to excuse the fact that the screen's a little bit cluttered just because I am using my smallest screen I have. So I'm going to click on matching payments and deposits. And at the top, you'll notice it'll say enter a maximum number of days between transactions. So if you're somebody who's like, I want these to only be matching for things that went in and out on the exact same day, then you might want to put like 1. But I like to give a little bit of leeway myself. And so I'm going to put in 4. And what it will do is it will actually scroll through the entire reconciliation because it has to get all the data first. And once it does that, you'll notice it just starts processing, going through each of the transactions and trying to figure out, okay, is there anything that has an exact match inside of here? So hopefully that will make it a little bit easier for you if you ever do need to have matching payments and deposits. And you will have to wait for a minute, just to be clear. It will refresh once it gets done at the end, but until then it's going to look kind of like nothing's going on. So just be aware that's what's going on there. So yeah, if you like this feature a lot, feel free to, on the Facebook page, go like Sherry Lee Mathers. Thank you so much for recommending this as a feature. And also because we have this, we might have a possibility of doing something with like duplicates sometime in the future. So hopefully we can maybe do some more stuff in the reconcile page now that we've kind of figured out some of more of that back end, what's going on there. So again, let me know if you have any feature requests relating to that. But yeah, so that one is and this is again in this is in Reconcile Pro. So check matching payments and deposits. Next, we have a feature that's an AI Pro. This is a relatively small one, but it was requested, and the person was very passionate about wanting it, and so I was like, let's do it. Especially because this is actually another thing that we put in. We now have the option inside of the Google Memo to use Bing instead of Google. Uh, Now, most of you are probably like, well, why would you use Bing? The person who actually asked for this was saying that they actually get rewarded for using Bing. So if you end up getting, if you're somebody who wants to get like rewarded for your search feature or your searching history, then using Bing is actually a way to make a little bit of money while you're doing your work. But yeah, let's go into AI Pro and then search with Perplexity. So I already have that turned on. It's very, very similar to Google Memo. So I'm just going to go into this page and I'm going to click on this transaction right here. And you'll notice at the bottom there will be a thing that says Perplexity. If I open that up, you'll notice it kind of just like the Google Memo opens up a new tab and it has a slightly more like it's basically like Google, but it has slightly more information. It has sources available for like where it's getting the data from. And it just can give you a lot more of like everything's all in one page, whereas with Google, you might have to do a little bit more searching around to find exactly what is going on with the transaction. So again, hopefully, oh, you can't see the pop-out window. That's kind of annoying. Let me see here if I can change that real quick. Screen. Okay. Can you see that now? Sorry about that. So yeah, and hopefully you can't see too much like my camera showing on myself or something like that. Uh, but yeah, now that you can see that, you can see it just has like a lot more actual detailed information when you're searching. It's very helpful. And just like with Google Memo, if you're somebody who needs to be like, I don't want and this is a bad example, but you want to show only Coral Dental, you can highlight just that part and then click Perplexity, and it will also just only look up Coral Dental. So it gives you quite a bit of good information there. Maybe not for everybody, but again, I think it's quite cool. So I'm glad to the person who wants to remain anonymous on that, who asked about it. So hopefully everybody enjoys that. And then the last like fully new feature, and this is actually more of an improvement on an old feature, but because of the fact that it's actually adding a whole new functionality, I want to. I've decided to put it in here as a straight up new feature. Um, And by the way, Barbara, you do not need to have Bing to use the perplexity feature. It's completely separate, its own separate thing. So, the last thing that I want to show you that's like a straight up new feature is going to be batch changing subaccounts. Let me make sure I got that. Or batch converting to subaccounts. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to Batch Pro to make sure I have this turned on. And I need to make an actual, it's no longer a new feature, but because it's new in functionality, I should put a new button next to it. But we got this change subaccounts feature. So what happens with that is, let's say that I've come over into here and let's see if we can find something that's actually, not terrible to use for this. You know what? This is probably going to be bad, but we're going to do it anyways. So I'm going to pick like these three items right here inside the chart of accounts, and then I'm going to go back up to the top and click batch actions. And we already had changed a parent account as an option here. And what that would do is if you had sub accounts and you wanted to move them from being sub accounts to being parent accounts, it would do that for you. What's new is changing all to a sub account. So what that means is now when you come into here, all those three things that I selected, I can, and if, I don't know why it's so big, but we're gonna go with it. I can now come in here and I can make those all a part of as a sub account of something else. And I really should, you know what? We're gonna do this. Let's see here. Employee, and maybe I need to make this a slight bit better in terms of the actual finding of stuff inside of here. So we're gonna, but for right now, let's just put this in employee cash advances. I don't know. We're gonna start doing it. And what you'll notice is it will kind of come into here. It'll make everything a sub account. It will do all of that fun stuff for you. Other current asset. It will literally change the types so that it even matches up with the detail type and the account type for you. So it'll do all of that stuff for you. And then I need to actually search for whatever it was that the problem with having 1,000 items inside of your file. So now you can see here when I look at employee cash advances, the prepaid insurance, retainage, receivable, and security deposit are now sub accounts, and I didn't have to do any actual work in order to like make that whole thing happen. And let's make sure that let's see here. And there will be a recording of this video, by the way. There will be a YouTube posting on this. Um, so just so people are aware, let me make sure there's no other questions. Uh, and I'm glad that you like the. Let's see here. Might use this. Yeah. So hopefully that ends up helping somebody who has a problem with doing sub accounts. Is there an undo feature if a mistake is made? Um, Yeah, there's not an undo feature, unfortunately. I mean, you can make things a parent account with the same feature basically, but as far as like a straight up undo, we don't have anything right now. Uh, and by the way, Rich, can you move an account with a sub account to another type of account, since there's other expense to expense? Yes, that is part of what that feature was doing. It kind of went a little bit fast, but part of what it was doing was it was changing the account type at the same time. So, unless you can't do it literally with QuickBooks Online, like if you can't do it manually, we can't do it with the RightTool feature. But for the most part, it should work no matter what you throw at it. Um, Joy is asking if RightTool will be available for Edge. The good news is RightTool is available for Edge. You still have to go to the Chrome Web Store, but it works for everything except for Safari and Firefox, basically. So you can download it in Edge. You just go to righttool.app/free, which reminds me of the fact that I do not have the link for the slides anymore. Let me get that link really quick. So let me just get this, dismiss that, copy link. And yeah, if you're having trouble getting it to load in Edge, feel free to send me a message. I might not be super responsive right now, but send me a message if it is not working in Edge for you, and I will be able to help you with that. Okay, so that is basically it for the new features. But there are two things that we've had an update for recently that I just want to take just a quick moment to highlight, which is the fact that if you've ever used the batch edit source account in the past, and that's a thing that exists inside of the bank register. So if I come into, let's say, let's find a good account for this. This one will be fine, probably. It's a lot of deposits. Deposits are kind of weird. But we're gonna see if we can make it work. Yeah, let's find something else. Uh, BOA replacement account. Let's try that. Um, let's see here. I mean, oh, okay. It would be great to make the number of items on a page sticky. That's interesting because it should be sticky when you have like on a chart of accounts. It should stick to 300, but it might be that QuickBooks is being a little bit weird about all that. And somebody mentioned that make sure on Edge, if you're like using that as part of a company, that you have the administrative thing turned on so it's not blocking, so it's not blocked by the administrators of the browser. So what I wanted to look here is that we have always had a batch edit feature inside of here, but it's always been one of those things where like 50% of people have no issues whatsoever, and then 50% of people have like they can't get this thing to work. So we've recently updated this to make it so it's a little bit more what's the word? It's both 6 times quicker and it's also significantly more reliable. So now if we come in here and we say batch change and we want to make this change into savings account, just press confirm batch. It gives you a little warning like, are you sure this is what you want to do for these selected checkboxes? And once I do that, you will see that I get a counter that is going to just to mess with me, not work today. I swear that this is how all tech demos seem to go for me. That is craziness. Let me check one more time, make sure it's not just something where I needed to reload the extension. Let's see. Batch, come over here and come over this. And if it's not something that's, fixed with reloading the extension, then you know what? We'll fix it by tomorrow morning by for sure. So that is the one thing you can count on is the fact that if something is not working, we will fix it. It does seem like that little tech gremlins going on inside of here. Oh, they're linked to the bank feed. Oh, okay. Thank you very much. Yes, you're right. This is one thing we can't do. We cannot change and maybe we should put some kind of warning about that when that's a great point. Thank you very much. Um if it is automatically linked to a bank rule, or if it's coming from the bank, if you see like green boxes basically anywhere in this line, then it's not going to be able to change it. That's not a us thing. That's like QuickBooks literally won't do it. So you'll have to go into the bank feed and unmatch if that's something that's going on right there. So thank you, David, for letting me know about that. But yes, it is much faster now. Let me see if I can find literally anything that would work for this. This is bad on my part, bad mark for not being a little bit more prepared on this particular feature. But it does work a lot. Yeah, you're gonna have to just trust me on this. It's significantly faster. Before it would have to go into every single transaction and open them and then save everything after like doing a whole bunch of clicks on the page. Now everything runs in the background, which makes it so it's so much more consistent and it's so much more faster because you don't have to actually load anything. Uh, and yes, you can, by the way, somebody asked about using filters. Oh yeah, you know what, Caleb, that is a fantastic point. Um, you can actually use the filters to come in here and you can actually filter on whatever you want. So if you want to filter for specific dates, specific transaction types, if you want to specifically see things that are reconciled or not reconciled, then this is like you can use the filter in here and it'll actually make everything kind of work correctly. And that's also a really good way to show this feature because of the fact that now we actually have this available to us. So I'm just going to press Shift and press up. And then I'm going to click edit. We're going to just leave that with the source account, press close, and confirm batch, and press OK. And now you can see it's doing 1 out of 3. So it's still going to be a little bit slower than our other batch features, but as you can see, it's still faster than going into each individual one and moving the bank account. And so now if I go back into savings account, you'll see all those sales receipts that I had just got instantly basically transferred over inside of the thing. This is great for me. I love the basically anything relating to batch in the register, whether it's editing or deleting. Uh, yeah, so uh, I'm very happy that we were able to get that to work better. Patty mentioned that the V or C when you're adding a customer through the bank feed. If there is an issue with that, I will take a look at it. I know that they changed a little bit around that recently, so hopefully I can make that extra box go away, Patty. And then finally, in the same vein as all this, the speed of the journal entry pace has also been improved, assuming that it works for you because I put in, if you're on version 26.12, you should be good to go. If you if you are on version 11, it might be still having an issue for you, but once you're on 12, you should be good to go. Joel asked, did I use the shift and up arrow to click all the boxes? Yes, with the batch edit feature or with the batch feature in the register page, you can hold shift and then you can press the down arrow to just go down if you want to, or you can hold shift and click to click everything in between. So lots of shifting functionality inside of the bank register. That was like a key thing with with Hector is that he wanted to see. You can tell what version you're on, by the way, if you go to the top right section of the RightTool sidebar. It'll say admin or pro or free version 26.12 in this case. You might have it so it does it on uh yeah, and you might have it so it says 26.11 if that's a problem. I noticed I could not batch edit on an equity account. Um Yeah, there's certain accounts that unfortunately QuickBooks does not do great with. I don't know why they made certain registers different than others. So there are times where you have to get a little bit creative in order to make the batch edit like work for you exactly the way that you want, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is. But yes, let's go straight into it. So before, when we were inside the journal entry, we were kind of at the whims of of QuickBooks in terms of how we had to keep the feature updated. You gonna go to the journal entry, or are we just gonna kind of play around here? Somebody asked in the register, the only fields I can batch change in the accounts receivable is the date. Yes, in dates, that's the big one where we're gonna try and see if we can figure something out. But with invoices, dates are the only thing you can change. QuickBooks has that locked down pretty tight, but I think we have a way to get in there and mess with it. Don't tell Intuit, by the way. They just started liking us. I don't want to make it too, uh, yeah, don't want to make it too much of a bad relationship with them. Can you make it way unbad? Yeah. Okay. So the next thing is just we added a little bit of speed to the paste Excel. So what used to be happening here is it would go into each one of these boxes and draw down on them and roll and basically scroll through the entire boxes. Now we don't have to do that. Now we can basically get the data like really quick. You can see it's getting all of this information and then it's done. You might not notice it so much if you're somebody who's working mostly in files that have like between, 200 to 500 accounts or you have 200 to 500 of like literally anything. But when you have those customers that have like 50,000 vendors or something like that, this is going to be really helpful for the speed of everything. Um, so just being aware of that. Um, we do not have a way to change products from inventory items to non-inventory items, unfortunately. So somebody was asking about that. And then somebody said that they have the pro version now, but it's showing free. That's something where if you ever have the pro version, but it's showing as free, then what you might want to do is log into righttoolpro.com. That's how, because sometimes Google is just annoying and it loses the data. But if you log back into righttoolpro.com, it will bring you back into being on the pro version if you should be on that, but it's showing as free. So hopefully that helps with that. Uh, but yes, Teresa, that is exactly the reason why I was so happy to get this done is that if you have a client with like 10,000 names, or 10,000 customers or vendors, then it was super, super slow. Um, Again, and somebody was asking, do you say something about losing the extension and how to fix slash add back? As far as adding back, you just have to go back to righttool.app/free or the Chrome Web Store and re-download it. But if you're on the Pro version after you reinstall, just log into righttoolpro.com real quick, and that should fix it for you if you're doing that. Is there a setting to force the payee in the bank feeds? There used to be, but we had to get rid of it for reasons. It was just causing more trouble than it was unfortunately worth. Um, I think actually we might still have it inside of bank/rules. Yeah, improve. Well, no, that's for rule creation. Yeah, so we might not have something for that right now. But it's a good thing to keep out an eye for. Okay. So that's kind of going on with that. So plans for the future. Uh, so we are kind of going Intuit Connect is going to be coming up at the end of this month. But after that, one of the things I wanted to share with everybody here is that we are planning to have more of a Q&A slash troubleshooting webinar either once a week or once every other week, starting in November. So keep it out an eye for that. You might get an email being like, "Hey, we might be doing something with that." So just because of the fact that we're bringing on, well, as many of you know, Jessica Hedenskog, she is my fiance, my significant other. We're bringing her on to do a little bit more of the support. And so I am wanting to have a little bit of a training session both for her and to also give you guys an ability to have a more personalized one-on-one way to get questions and answered, especially since like with this webinar, even I see there's a couple of questions about features. And I would love to answer all of them, but also at the same time, I want to keep it a little bit focused. So hopefully that Q&A ends up helping everybody. And we also might end up doing something where for people who sign up for Pro, we'll give like a one-on-one consultation. And if you get an email about that, uh, if you're already a Pro user and you want a little bit of a one-on-one consultation, we will also offer that to you because we want to offer that to the people who already are Pro, right? So that's kind of a thing to to keep in mind there. Last month, Hector mentioned, moving things from the free to the pro version. We are not doing that, at least as long as I can, as long as uh, me and him we're in different minds on that, but we're in agreement that it's more worthwhile to not argue about it. So we are going to keep everything that's free. We're keeping that in free. So just to be aware, if people were worried about that, like about there being less free features, we're not planning on pulling back any of those for the time being, or even for the future. Don't assume that everything that's in free is going to stay there indefinitely. Um, and then also, we are still discussing the pricing in terms of like potential price increases. I've changed it. I've gotten him and to be clear, I agree with him that RightTool is a weird thing to price because there are some people who the pro version is well worth $50 or more, and there's some people who it's not worth the $50. So you kind of have to figure out that good balance. So we've kind of discussed it and the thinking going forward. And again, we're going to have a thing where people get grandfathered in at a price, is that we will increase the price of additional users, but not for the initial price of Pro, if that makes sense. Because right now it is $50 for the first user and then 15 for each additional. We're thinking about increasing that 15 for each additional to something else. But again, we'll keep people grandfathered in at whatever price they have. So if you're somebody who wants to really lock in that 15 per additional user, we'll definitely give you a heads up when it's going to happen. But just be aware. Where can you subscribe to get updates on upcoming webinars or news? You should get an update. If you've gotten the webinar update for this, you should get the webinar update in an email for whenever we have like the Q&A when we start doing that. Um, and also, if you're a pro user, you automatically get added as well. Um, However, if you're somebody who really needs to get on if you're not getting the emails, feel free to go to the Facebook page and let us know if you're having um any problems. So hopefully that's kind of giving you guys a clear view of what's going on in the future. We're always kind of trying to figure out what's the right thing to do with everything. And we also we care about like the free users. I'm not going to say just as much as the pro users because I think Hector would probably be like, no, don't say that. But we do care about the free users as well. So we want to make sure everybody is continuing to be happy. And I just want to make sure that we're giving everybody the best thing we can possibly give them. Uh, so with that in mind, hopefully I didn't give away too much things. And again, hopefully I'm not trying to make it look like Hector is doing a great job. He has been a wonderful, wonderful partner. Let's be very clear. So I'm not speaking poorly about him at all. He is literally the best person you could agree to work with. It's just that sometimes people have disagreements on certain small things. Um, so with that being said, question and answer time. I know some people had some questions about features. For instance, one person was asking about could you in the bank register, like could you batch change to like add customers or vendors? You can batch change with the edit. You can edit all of these things, including payee, which is the customer or vendor. Uh, so we do have that available if you're wanting to change it at the header level. We do have a feature as well for changing the customers at the line level, but it's going to take us a minute to get that. In the same way that the batch change source account has been working, we're updating that to make it a little bit more effective because that's another one of those ones where 50% of people are fine and the other 50% just can't get it to work. So we're literally updating that right as we speak. Uh, let's see here. So, can you change a customer to a vendor? That is a feature, and again, uh, yeah, so that is a feature that we actually already have. So if you, and I don't know if it's turned off by default. Let me check and make sure if that's already turned off. So customer, let's see if that's anything. I might have to, oh, convert payee type. Okay, yeah. So this is a pro feature for converting payee type. What that means is if you go into the vendor page, and if you are, and this also works inside of the customer page as well, you'll notice that when you click on a vendor or a customer, there's going to be a thing here that says convert to customer, or if you're on the customer page, convert to vendor. So that is a feature that does already exist in Accountant Pro. So it should be turned on for you already if you have Pro. Uh, can you, but you can't do it in bulk if that's what you're asking for, Rich, just to be clear. Um, can you batch change the project field on line items? That would be in the same thing as like changing the customer. And then, yeah, somebody's asking what tool do you use to turn on, or what do you turn off to keep the left menu to stay put versus being hidden? If you want the left menu to show up, that is going to be in QBO user experience, and there, or not QBO user experience. That's in accessibility. My bad. There is a thing over here called auto close left nav. If you turn off auto close left nav, it will every time you refresh the page, instead of being closed, this will be open, just like it normally would be. In that case, I would recommend closing out the right tool sidebar just because you want as much space on the screen as possible, if unless you're not me. Uh, so yeah, just being aware of that. Will RightTool work with Canadian QBO? Yes, but there's also an issue with the journal entry paste right now in Canada. We are literally going to put an update out for that tonight if I can figure out how to fix it. But yes, almost everything that works inside of the US version of RightTool will work in the Canadian version of RightTool. The pro pricing, it is for what it is, it's based on user. So it's not even QuickBooks login. So if you have, 15 different QuickBooks logins, all you need is one account with RightTool Pro, and you just log into that from your browser, and it'll work across all clients. No need to worry about connecting different QuickBooks files. It's not tied to QuickBooks basically in any way, except for you can make it easier to log in if you want to. 1 second. Let's see. Last time I can you remind me how to toggle open all or close all on the right tool menu? Toggle from the open all to close. So if you're talking about when you're like inside of here and you want to use like close all to close all of your right tool related or not right tool, QuickBooks related tabs, you go to manage tabs and there's a close all. There's also a keyboard shortcut. God, this little icon's driving me nuts recently. Anyways, there's also a keyboard shortcut that you can see by just clicking on here, and it'll give you a whole list of things that right tool adds as like custom keyboard shortcuts that Hector put in. Because again, he's kind of a genius when it comes to that kind of stuff. In the I need let's see here. Is there a way to convert a bill to an expense and vice versa? Yes. Somebody actually, there's two things. I'll answer one thing. Why is right tool black and not purple? It just changed. If you have black for what's showing up in right tool, it might be that inside of accessibilities you have colorblind negatives turned on, or not colorblind negatives, black and white color scheme. That's just an option. If you don't like the red, you can change it to black and white if that's something you prefer. It seems to be kind of a split opinion on that one. Converting a bill to an expense. Let's just actually go to this and we can go to an expense real quick. I should have just opened one of the ones that was just available to me right in that screen, but you know what? We're just going to let that go. So I'm going to go to an existing expense, and this is a pro feature, just to be clear. You'll notice that if you go to an existing expense and you click on more, there's going to be a copy to button. When you click on that, it automatically shows bill as the first thing that pops up, but you can change it to any one of these transaction types. I say you can change it to any one. To be clear, there are some transaction types that are more compatible with each other than others. So yeah, just be aware. That's something that that will happen is that like there are some minor differences if you try to get incompatible types of transactions. Um, Somebody asked if you convert a customer or a vendor or vice versa, will both entities exist going forward? Yes. When we convert, what we do, we don't change any of the transactions over. We literally only create a new version of the vendor with all of their details as a customer or vice versa. So you'll still have both versions. If you want to delete the old one, you can. If you don't want to delete the old one, you can keep it. It's up to you what you want to do with that. Dawn asked, does that take the attachments with it to the bill? Yes, it does. Attachments and everything will get converted if you use this copy too. So it's a really cool feature. I was really glad when we were able to figure out the attachments part of that because I was a little bit concerned about that myself. Uh, so yes, we were able to do it. That's actually, again, Hector was like, it's pretty much his line in the sand was making sure the attachments could come along as well. Um, when you convert to a customer or a vendor with the same name, it's going to actually say in one of them, I can't remember which, one of them is going to actually say converted in parentheses on the side. So that way it will never be the same exact word. It will literally say converted. So if you want to delete the old one so you can have only the name, or if you want to change the name from converted to say like vendor inside of parentheses, you could do that. So just as a way. Um, Dawn asked, and the links to any estimates and POs. Admittedly, I would have to test that. There might be that it works that with that when you're inside of the newer version of expenses, or the newer version of pages. So you can, if you see this like give feedback button at the top, that means that it's probably going to work and bring the links over. But if it's not the new one, it's definitely not going to bring that stuff over. So just be aware of that. That's mostly if you're outside of the United States. If you're in the US, it should be fine. Uh, is there feature return changing build to copy to expense? My only has copy, not copy to. Yes. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry. Let's see here. Let me make sure. This used to be I think this used to be an experimental feature, so it might not be turned on for everybody. Um, Copy to different transaction type is something in here. See, this is where I got to figure out a better way to come in here and fix all this. Um, Okay, copy to different transaction types in Accountant Pro. So if that's not turned on, that copy to is not going to show up. And also be aware that if it's not an existing transaction, it's also probably not going to show up in the more. So just be aware of that. And if you ever do find issues, because let me be clear, extensions are nothing but like will problem childs for issues. Do always feel free to contact me or again, Facebook post, because I do enjoy that. In the free version, I need to add. It only pulls income, and do I need to? So Duncan and Associates asked about the reclass transactions function, but they're in the free version. It's more than likely that you're actually using QuickBooks' default reclassification because we do not actually we don't do reclassified transaction like this page right here is the one that I think you're talking about. This is actually a QuickBooks Online specific page, so if you need to change something that's not income and expenses, I think you can go to balance sheet. Uh, or oh, it only pulls income and not expenses. Yeah, I don't know. That might be something where you have to ask a QuickBooks Facebook group about that one. Um, and then let's see here. Somebody was asking about making a year to last month as a date range. Um, yeah, I'd have to think about that one in terms of how we could make that work reasonably well inside of QuickBooks. So hopefully we can get that. I would prefer if somebody could post that in the Facebook group about the report. Yeah, that's what I was thinking is like I kind of need to see what people are talking about because like I'm not super great on like seeing something somebody's saying in the moment. I'm very much I have to think about it kind of thing. So if you post in the Facebook group or message me, I will have a much better chance of actually knowing what you're asking for and making it work better. So hopefully that is helpful. Uh, so with that being said, I think that covers, can the words bill paid be removed from the copy bill reference number? To uh that's a great question, Ufoma, and I actually would love it if you could send me that as well because I'm going to need that message. Okay, there is one more question. Is there a way to globally turn off RT bulk as a memo for the bulk entry? Not at the moment, but it's a good question, unfortunately. Or not unfortunately. It is a good question. It's just that unfortunately we don't have like a good way to turn that off right now, but it's a good idea. And it's only copying. It should say maybe copy. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. I like what you're saying about the converting customer to vendor. It's only copying the data. So that's a very good point. With that being said, for people who do have more questions, again, Facebook group, and we'll in November we'll try to have more Q&A sessions where we can be a little bit less frantic about it, and we can go over things one at a time. So I want you guys to have a great time. If you're at the conference for Reframe, say hi. If you're in Florida, swing by and say hi. And yeah, I hope everybody here has a wonderful time. Jess, do you want to say hi? Because people are saying hi to you. Um, yeah, let's see here. Oop. Yep. So we are here. We're having a good time getting ready for the craziness to start. And yeah, we hope everybody here has a good rest of your week. And we'll see you in either 2 months or if you want to go to the QA, maybe before that. Have a good one, everybody.